Time flies. So fast it's been 18 months owning the 2022 Lexus NX450h Plus. It's 2023, and Lexus has already launched the 2024 early this year. With that being said, there has been a few new features that Lexus Canada has added to the NX since I purchased my vehicle. A few key notes is that the executive package now includes the Mark Levinson 17-speaker system. The F-Sport variant that I own now includes Advanced Park, which I don't have. Another feature that was added is Proactive Driving Assist that was introduced in the 2024 model year. I'm not sure if that's offered in the Canadian market, but we do know that it is available on some NXs in different markets. We definitely know that the NX have different features in different markets, and Canada is being one of the lucky ones to have Mark Levinson in the plug-in hybrid. In some markets, this is still not available. So in this video, I will provide my update on the experience of the 2022 Lexus NX450h Plus, and again, it is 18 months. Time really flies. Hey, it's LSFT here today, and today I'm here to provide an update on the 2022 Lexus NX450h Plus in cadmium orange. And the last update I provided was at 12 months, and that seems a long time ago already. And I did not want to provide updates when there weren't that many changes. But do let me know in the comments below if you want to learn and get updates more frequently. This time, the update was 6 months, similar to a service. When you get to your 6-month service, that's when you get an update. Without further ado, let's start with how many kilometers have I driven in the past 18 months of ownership. Follow me on Instagram at LSFTvideos. You can see updates on my experience with the NX450h Plus, which may not be shown on any future videos. You can also reach out to me via direct messaging if you have any questions on your Lexus. If you like this video, you can provide me feedback in the comments below, like this video, and share it with your friends. This definitely will help me with the YouTube algorithms. Press the subscribe button and bell icon and get notified when new videos show up. And lastly, if you want to support me further, you can provide me a super thanks, which is greatly appreciated. And now let's continue with the video. So first things first, how many kilometers have I driven? So my current work scenario has not really changed. So since purchasing this car, I've been working from home. And that is one reason why I'm not driving as much as I used to. I am still working from home most of the time, and my team has now voluntarily returned to the office once a month, just to get a chance to see each other and really get that face-to-face interaction. So going back to the previous ownership updates, the first month I've driven 764 kilometers, the second month 2,178, the third month 3,046. Then we move over to the 6 months, 5,041, 9 months 7,747, and then at the 1-year anniversary 10,349 kilometers. Now at 18 months, 16,905 kilometers. That's almost 17,000 kilometers. And the previous update, I actually got an average about 862 kilometers a month. And with this new update, I now average 939 kilometers per month, which means I have driven the car more in the past 6 months than the previous 12 months. So based on the calculation of the last 6 months, averaging about 1,093 kilometers per month. Some may think, would this car still be okay if I had to return to the office? So going to the office 5 days a week, and I think the answer would be a yes. My office is about 31 kilometers away from home, and the round trip is about 62 kilometers. It's at a point where the car just have enough EV range to go both ways. And my office also has a 120 volt plug for 2 EVs or plug-in hybrids to charge. So as long as I have my EVSC, I can still charge at the office as well. And the funny thing is, because I go downhill going to the office, when I've actually tried many times going to the office, driving the 31 kilometers, the car says I still have about 80% of juice. But going back the other way, going home, going uphill, that's where it actually takes a lot of electricity to actually go home. So even if I didn't charge, I think at most I'll be using less than 10 kilometers of hybrid mode to actually get home. And that 10 kilometers is mostly in the winter time. In the summer times, I think it at most be 1 or 2 kilometers. So I haven't tried it, but we will have to see. So since the last update, I went to the gas station 3 times. And that is actually more than normal because typically I will only go to the gas station once. But the reason why is I've actually went on a road trip and I definitely needed to fill up before I go on the road trip. So early June, I filled up 10 liters. So you can see here, I actually filled up 10 liters and it costs $18.45. But between that and the February fill up, I drove 2,931 kilometers, and that was 98 days. So that is actually more than 3 months. And actually, I forced myself to go there and fill up because I want to ensure that the gasoline does not go stale. And I did do only 10 liters, and I experimented that just to keep 3 bars of fuel in the summer months. So that 10 liters was enough to actually keep 3 bars. Then in late June, so you can see here, 27 days after the June 2nd fill up, I drove about 859 kilometers. And this time I did a full fill up. So went all the way to the tank, full of the tank. It took about 30 liters of fuel. And if you look at only the 27 days, it's about 3.51 liters per 100 kilometers, costing $54 of gasoline. So then when you look at it, that was not too much. But that would be almost like I go fill it once a month, it'll cost me about $55. So the road trip, okay? The road trip I drove about 670 kilometers. And the car at the end, when I got home, it remained with 3 bars. And the gasometer said that there was 231 kilometers remaining. So when we look at the road trip, we're talking about 900 kilometer range. I did about 5 charges during the trip. So then when you look at that 900 kilometer range, there were some charging involved. And that would actually mean that the gasoline engine probably would not give you 900 kilometers. So after that road trip, I did not fill up until 91 days later. So you can see here on end of September, I filled up again. This time, the 91 days, I drove 3,327 kilometers, and with a gasometer of about 300 kilometers range. So to date, 16,905 kilometers. This actually says 16,855 because there was a little gap between the day I actually took the number and this day. So I'm just going to use this day as the number, but the total cost is about $430, which means 2.39 liters per 100 kilometers. Not too bad, I would say. So then we need to move on to electricity costs. So let me go on to the next sheet. So you can see here, I don't have a way to measure the actual kilowatts used by charging. So the only way for me is to reference the cost of electricity and how much I use at home. And you can definitely see that I've used more in 2023. It could be that I've driven more, and also it could mean that it got hotter. And I can tell you September, when I looked at that number, I've 1000 kilowatt versus 889, definitely use a lot more. But that could also be because of the weather. It got hotter in September than normal. So when you look at here, I took the average and the costs is about $325.23 to charge at home. Keep in mind, this is definitely less than what I actually paid. A few reasons. I've actually used the highest rate possible on the tier base cost that I have for my bill. So meaning there are some times where I didn't use up the tier 2, I used up the tier 1, and that cost will not be accounted for at the lower rate. So this is all at the highest rate possible. I did not want to say, oh, let me go and start nickel and diming. Oh, this was charged at tier 1 rates, so it's cheaper. And then a tier 2 rate would be more expensive. So I just went ahead and did pure tier 2 ratings. All right, so $325.23 is at the higher end because the September number, definitely air conditioning brought more numbers higher. Then charging at home, but then there's also public charging. So definitely you can see that I have a lot of free charging, but I've also paid for charging as well. So over the 18 months, I've charged 166 kilowatts at public charging, and it cost me $16.65. So adding that all together, right? So $342 roughly for electricity costs and fuel costs at $430. So totaling $772 roughly for the cost of electricity and fuel. Keep in mind, these numbers are lower, should be lower because of the estimates at charging at home. All right, so now let's move on to comparing it to with the other NXs and see what does that all mean. So when you compare the cost of ownership to the second generation NX, so we have the NX250, 350, 350h, and then the 450h Plus, which I own, right? And then using the regular fuel or the premium fuel, I know some people would use the regular fuel for the NX450 and the 350h, so that's why I have these numbers here. So looking at here, so this is my current scenario, the NX450h Plus premium gasoline, and I've driven 16,855.29 kilometers with the cost of electricity and all that. It costs $771.92. So you look here where I have regular fuel using the reduced cost of fuel and then whatever cost there is. So the difference of using regular and premium over the 18 months is $70. So $70 really, if we look at it, it's peanuts when you compare it to $700. So I continue to use premium because, again, I don't use the fuel enough. And just having the premium just has that sense of feeling that it won't go bad as easy. But again, if you want to opt for regular, do whatever you think you need to do. So when we look at the NX250, the 8.4 liter per 100 kilometers combined average gets you to $2,153. So that would cost $1,389 more to drive the NX250. Yes, the NX250 is definitely cheaper, and you'll never break even with my NX450h Plus F-Sport 3 at $86K. So there is $26K more expensive, and you'll never break even just by operational costs. But when you look at the NX450h Plus Ultra Premium, it's really only $6,400 more. So over that time, you can probably break even quite fast. So if you're looking for an upper trim NX450h Plus, definitely you will not break even. But again, the experience is definitely different as well. So you really need to look at what you want and what are your priorities. All right, and then we look at the NX350. NX350, almost $3,000 of fuel costs. The price difference is about $2,100. That's significant, right? Alright, so when you compare the NX350 F-Sport 3 versus my F-Sport 3, the price difference is actually only $7,000 difference. And right now, when you look at the difference of operation, the cost of it, we can easily break even within a few years. And then when you look at the Ultra Premium, $68,500 for the NX350, compare that to the 450h Plus Ultra Premium at $66,400. that's actually $2,000 cheaper than the NX350. So which one is better? Well, as long as you can actually get an NX450h Plus, I think the NX450h Plus is actually a better buy than the 350. And then when you compare it to the NX350h, so a lot of people say, oh, I can't plug in, or the range is too little. So, but you look at the current scenario that I'm in. The 17,000 kilometer drive, if I took that on the NX350h, it would cost $1,852 of fuel. And right now, comparing the 450h Plus and the 350h, the cost difference is about $1,000. So they're still significant, but again, if you drive more, definitely the cost will either go up or the difference will actually go narrow down because you're using more gas. Or if you actually do short trips within that EV range, that price will probably be much lower. So the difference right now is about $1,000, and you compare it to the regular fuel, $1,500. So that's about $766 difference, and all this is in Canadian dollars. So if you compare $1,000 difference in the 18 months I've driven, if I bought the 350h Executive at $80,000 Canadian, and that's about $5,600 difference between my current NX. So if you look at that difference, it's going to take about 5 times of the 18 months, so it will still take some time to break even. But then when you compare it to the ultra premium trims, the ultra premium NX450h Plus is actually cheaper. It's $3,600 cheaper, and with a lower cost, it probably would even be a better deal. But again, if you can get the NX450h Plus, that's when you can actually get this type of a deal. So at the end, really, just owning the 450h Plus, being able to own it is already a privilege. And I would say I would actually prefer driving silently in EV mode most of the time instead of having the hybrid mode on the 350h. Overall, I would say if the NX350h had an F-Sport, I would have actually gotten that and not the 450h Plus F-Sport, but now owning it for 18 months, I think I made the right decision to buy the 450h Plus. Overall, I'm extremely satisfied with the driving of the vehicle, and reality is, I've driven the NX350, and boy, I miss my 450h Plus. So this NX is definitely the most recalled Lexus I've ever driven, or I've ever owned. Between 12 to 18 months time frame, I have received 2 additional recalls. One is a safety recall for the DC to DC converter, which could cause a vehicle fire, and the other one is a limited service campaign for the Lexus Safety System Plus front camera software update. I will be bringing my NX to the dealership very soon to get these service campaign and the safety recall done with my maintenance, the 18-month maintenance. So a new video will be coming out shortly on that experience. As with the Lexus Safety System Plus front camera, I have noticed it happening a few times already. So folks who haven't done it should actually get it done as soon as possible. It's better to get the most updated software on the safety system than just having it lingering there. So overall, 2 safety recalls and 2 limited service campaigns for this NX. And in some ways, some may say that, oh, it's first year's problem, so never buy a first model year car on when it's a brand new. And I would say sometimes getting recalls are actually good, which means they are actively fixing problems. And I would agree that the Lexus Safety System Plus 3.0 is a first model year car system because this new Lexus Safety System 3.0 was actually introduced with the NX. So the RAV4 Prime still has 2.5. So it's definitely something that updates will have to happen to fix whatever they find. And with the safety recalls, I would say that the quality of the suppliers are needed to be better to ensure that there are no parts that need to be replaced because of human error. I wouldn't say that this is first year's problem, since the NX450h Plus system is used in the RAV4 Prime, which has been on the market a few more years earlier than the NX plug-in hybrid. Even the RAV4 Prime got recalled for the DC to DC converter. I would say it's not really a first year's problem, but more of the quality of the supplier. With that being said, still, this is the most recalled Lexus I've ever owned, and as long as handled in a early fashion, I would say it's fine. I haven't visited the dealership for a few months already, so it's time to go and get it done. So over the air updates. So in the last video, I complained about Lexus saying that there was over the air updates on the brand new NX and all that blah 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 blah. And since owning the car, I got one update, and that's 1 year on that last video. This time, in May timeframe, I got the second update. It seems to be a bit long for these updates for a new infotainment system. So now at 18 months, things haven't really changed. I still just got the second update and no other update. This actually continues to disappoint me. Lexus and Toyota, your software team needs to provide more regular updates to the system. There's still a lot of people having complaints with connectivity. There's a lot of problems with the infotainment. I've actually found a few things since the last update, and one is very critical, and that is the compass. The compass works well on the heads-up display or on the multi-information display when you're not running navigation. But when I run Google Maps or Waze, the compass before the update disappears. And now finally after the update, it shows up, but it remains stuck. Meaning if I started the navigation when I was pointing north, it will show north. But when I start driving, making turns, that compass never changes. It will continue to go north until I end the navigation. So, is that a bug? Definitely. That's a bug that's been sitting there since May, and I tend to now just ignore that compass because it's useless. Lexus, you better get this fixed in the next update. I have seen reports that there is a new update coming, and that update is going to have some new graphics definitely. I don't know what else is fixed, but I'm looking forward to see what they've done since May, and I can tell you the US had got this May update a bit earlier than Canada. So with that update, I'm hoping things are getting fixed and newer features are coming to these NXs because again, software-based updates will get you better customer experience and satisfaction. So the ambient lighting. One thing I've noticed that something has changed. When I actually go and shift to drive or reverse or anything, so I'm just going to do that right now. So you can see that I'm going to go and make that change. And let me zoom out. All right, so now you can actually see from my screen, I'm right now on park. So if I go to drive, you will notice that the ambient lighting is actually the same. If I go back to park, the lighting does not dim anymore. In the previous, I don't know if this was part of the update or something, but before, if I actually go to drive or park, it would actually go and dim. So it seems like they've actually made a change so that it will not dim, so that the ambient lighting while driving is about the same as when it's not. Even though many of you are saying that it's still not adequate, but definitely is not as dim as before. So park, that light does not dim or brighten anymore. So definitely something has changed, and it's maybe for good or maybe for bad. I assume this change is based on the update that we've received in May, and it seems to be a good update, but I don't know if other people are having the same experience as well. And also, have you found anything different after you've received your update? Let me know in comments below and share it with others to see what you have found. One of the things I found is that piece. As with the 12-volt battery, after the -20 degrees Celsius when my 12-volt battery died, I went to the dealership, they checked it, everything was fine, they charged it up, and after that I actually installed a trickle charger. With that trickle charger, I've only charge it probably once every few weeks. I just pick like a Sunday where when I'm charging the traction battery, I also install the trickle charger and have it charge at the same time. So when the 12-volt battery is fully charged and the traction battery is fully charged, I'm good for another few weeks. Again, I drive extremely short distances during the day, so that is why it seems that the 12-volt battery will die much earlier. And some people would say, yes, it's a smaller 12-volt battery. Definitely, and that is true. You need to make sure that you drive your vehicle at least 20 minutes to ensure that it will actually move the traction battery to the 12-volt battery when you're actually driving. And when you're charging, it will also charge that 12-volt battery as well. So I don't think that's an inconvenience for me, but I know some people would actually say that that is bad, and that's a con on owning the 450h Plus. Alright, so this measurement is now zeroed out. I'm going to now push it out. I'm gonna stab it in the middle to get a measurement. Alright, so now it says 5.83 millimeters on the driver's side front tire. Alright, doing the same for the rear driver's side. So I push it all out, stab it in, and I get 6.47 in the rear driver's side. Okay, it looks like it's due for our tire rotation. Alright, now I'm on the rear passenger side. So zeroed out. Ooh, 4.71. Let's try this again. So verify 0. I'm going to measure on the top here. Okay, this one looks like a better reading. 6.37 on the rear passenger side. Alright, so it's going to move over. By the way, you see this water trail? This is actually the air conditioning coming down. So it's normal for the car to pee a little bit on the passenger side. Alright? Okay, here I'm going to now reset this again, make sure it's 0. So it is 0. And I'm going to go here, but on the top, let's do the measurement. 5.57 millimeters in the front passenger side. Alright, so now we have all the readings for the tires. So the tire tread is actually a little bit complex because I actually have winter tires on in the winter, so then it actually splits out the usage a bit. So I went and looked at all my invoices that I got from the dealership and then looking at the numbers. I'm assuming right now the car came with 7.2 millimeters because I actually look at Bridgestone's website and it looks like the tread actually starts at 7.2 millimeters. And then taking that into account so you look at what I have here. From March 2022 to October, I've driven 5,563 kilometers, and this is the reading that I got from the dealer, 6.5 millimeters front and rear. And it's interesting because it seems like the numbers are a little bit fluctuating, because when you look at in November, 6.1, so it makes sense because front wheel drive takes more of the hit. But then you look at the rear, it went up 0.2 millimeters. So I don't know how accurate the readings really are. But taking that account for, then if you look at it from March to November, I've actually brought down some of the tire wear, and then I actually equipped it the winter tires. So the winter tires actually start at 8 because that's the reading that they was provided by the dealership. And after the winter of driving 4,338 kilometers, it remained 8. So nothing has changed. I'll be interested to see when I get my winter tires on. Are they going to tell me it's 8 or it'll be 7 point something? Anyways, then October 3rd, this is the rating that I read from the video that I record, and I'm getting like 5.4 to 5.6 on the front, so I'm taking 5.5 and 6.5 and 6.4 in the rear, so I'll just take 6.5. So taking that account for, I brought down 1.7 millimeter, driving 12,680 kilometers, and 0.7 in the rear. And you know, it rotates from the front and the back too, so it gets a little bit harder to get the numbers right. So taking that account for, if you look at it, if I project the 18 months after this date, 25,000 kilometers in summer tires, it'll go down to 4.8. After a rotation, 38,000 kilometers, it'll go down to 3.1 and 4.1. It gets a little bit tricky now. I think we can go down to 2.4, which is really tight. I don't know exactly how low you can get, but I think 2.4 is probably what we can take as a point of view, right? So driving about 50,000 kilometers, it goes down to 2.4. So based on that, March 2028, when the car's 5 years old, that's when the tread is down to I need new tires. But then when you look at the warranty, the treadwear of the AS02 is 65,000 miles, which is about 100,000 kilometers. But if you look at what I'm seeing here, really only down to 50, so half of the life. So that's where I'm seeing with the tires that came with the Lexus. And then really I'll have to see after the winter, my Michelin Excise, how much of the tread is going down. You can definitely see that I'm driving a lot less on the winters, and yeah, probably I'll drive another 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers, and let's see what does that mean in the winter tires when I actually get them changed in March or April 2024. So you may ask, what is this feature that I don't like about this NX? And I would say it's that wireless charger. It continues to have issues, and it seems like there is no technical service bulletin on it. So the dealerships are saying that everything is good. There's no technical bulletin, so I'm not going to be replacing it. So again, I'm going to go and do my 18-month service, and I'm going to raise it again that wireless charger is not doing it. Let's see what they say. So to conclude the 18-month experience, I would say that I'm still loving this NX450h Plus. The ride quality, the EV quietness is definitely something that I actually like. Some people probably would say the ride quality is crap, but it works for me. And again, everybody has their own opinion, everybody has their own needs. So I would say you really need to go and test drive it to actually understand, is this car for you? Some people will opt to get the 350h because they can't find a plug. Some will say that, oh, I drive a lot, so the 37 miles or 60-ish kilometers is just not enough. But then you really need to do your numbers because that will also work. A lot of people that I've seen are talking about the cost of ownership or just because the 450h Plus is more expensive than any other NXs out there, yes, it's definitely more expensive, and you really need to judge what are your priorities. The 450h Plus does give you zero emissions in most of the cases if you do short distances, and also it's a very quiet drive because there's no gas engine. But definitely there's a lot more things that you need to worry about. From the 350h, you can actually just drive it as normal. You don't really have to care about, oh, when do I plug it in? When do I depart? When do I actually need to figure out where is the next charging station? But in the 450h Plus, you don't have to do that as well. But if you want to maximize the efficiency, that's what you'll need to do. So if you're not in that, definitely the 450h Plus is not the car that you should be getting. But overall, with the battery, the lower center of gravity, that drive just feels much better. So overall, I would say I have seen, yes, there's a lot more recalls on this vehicle, and it's unfortunate, but it's not something that is concerning me at this point. I've been timing my trips to the dealership with my other services, so I'm not really going for extra trips. There has been one extra trip for the 12-volt battery dying, but after that, I've been just timing it with my winter tire changes or my services. That seems to be working fine for me as well. Really, driving it for the 18 months, I still really enjoy the cadmium orange, and some people would say, am I off it already? No, I still like that color. When the sun shines on it, it's so brilliant, it's so nice. But again, some people don't like that color. It is what it is. And it's obvious that a lot of people would know that I'm on the road, because I've actually had a few friends just calling me when I'm driving saying that, oh, you're there, because my car is so easy to see. It is what it is, but again, everybody has their priorities and everybody likes whatever color they want their car to be. So with that being said, I think this will conclude the 18-month experience ownership of the NX450h Plus, and I believe my next update will be the 2-year anniversary. Stay tuned. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, please comment, like, share this video, and if you want to see more videos like this, you can subscribe to my channel and press that bell icon to get notified when new videos are posted. And if you'd like to support this channel, you can provide me a super thanks. And until next time, cheers.